Everyone's had to wait a long while to get to this point. So yeah, huge credit to Dan to get back. As we all thought at the time, it was a pretty nasty injury in that quarter final. So it's a long, long time ago now. So 18 months or so. So yeah, huge credit to Dan, all the medical team here, particularly Carl Denver, that have worked so hard to get him back to this point. So obviously Dan is the one who's had to do the work. So huge credit must go to him. So yeah, hopefully he'll get some action. And even this week, like I think as you get close to the game, there's always that bit of nervousness as well, which is understandable. But yeah, it'd be great to see him back out there and another step on the way back to where Dan wants to get to. So there's lots coming up in terms of big games and all that, but for him, he just needs to baby steps in terms of getting back onto the field of play. So yeah, looking forward to seeing him out there again. We don't have a plan in place really, so we're just taking it day by day. So we can make assessments as based on what we see and all the different information in terms of what we get. So we'll see how this week goes, and we've a long turnaround into the game the following week against Glasgow, which is supposed to be playing Friday night this week, and we don't play till the following Monday. So yeah, we'll see how everyone pulls through this week. Dan Sheehan starting. It's great for Dan. He's trained with the senior group for a while now. I thought he featured really strongly in terms of some of the Celtic Cup games at the start of last season, which is during that World Cup period. It's been a very competitive position for us. Hooker, with Ronan away. Obviously, James Tracy was in camp at the start of the week, so he's come back in to sit on the bench. Sean Cronin picked up a niggle, so he's unavailable. So it's a great opportunity for Dan in what is a very, very competitive spot for us. Liam Turner is sort of a key figure in the Irish 20s, particularly last season, so before the break, and he's gone well in training. So we have a number of guys away and we have a few injuries, so it's a great opportunity for Liam to step in there, and he's shown well in the training environment. So if you kind of wind the clock back, when we restarted post the lockdown, we just had the senior group here in UCD, and the academy group were based in Denton Energy Park with Noel McNamara. So Noel does a great job in terms of managing those players and their development. So when they come back up here and they integrate with the senior group, they're as ready as they can be. So in more recent times, obviously the academy group has reintegrated with the senior group, and they're training with us full time. So we're still quite light on numbers with a number of players away in national camp, but that gives a great opportunity for the senior coaches to work with a lot of the academy players, and it's just this continuous flow of players coming through is what you want. So before they get into the building, they do a huge amount of work with all the academy coaches and the academy backroom team as well. So huge credit to Noel McNamara and all the work that goes on there. So and in the probably clubs and schools, I suppose, beneath that, before players even come into the academy setup in the first place. So on the bench, obviously Dave Hawkes is another one who's come back from a very long layoff in terms of injury. So he had a very similar to Dan really in the time frame. He's been out for a hell of a long time as well. So he played a game in the A's, that A game against Ulster not so long ago. So great opportunity hopefully for him off the bench. And Kieran Park, we talked about before, he's come in on a short-term deal, which gives us good coverage during this period, because that's one of the challenges really, is trying to, we talk about these bubbles and trying to get players into the bubbles. So yeah, we're a little bit thin on the ground there in front rowers, but Kieran's given us great coverage, and he's fitted into the group really, really well. So we're pleased with how he's gone. I think everyone would accept that sport is in a fairly precarious position at the moment. Whatever it's about being playing, but the crowd piece as well. For our last game against Treviso, we were lucky to play in front of, I think it was 1,000 supporters, and you see the difference that it makes, even 1,000. For us, we feel very, very fortunate that we're able to continue on, and play the game and prepare for the games that we love, and that participation is amazing. And I think there's lots of positive in sport, obviously, being on, but yeah, it's a very, very challenging period for a lot of people right now. So we feel very, very fortunate that we're allowed to continue on and play the games. So for us, our responsibility is trying to make it as safe as possible for everyone in our environment here, and in our bubble, so to speak. So that's what we try to focus our energy on. The players have to be very mindful as well of some of the risks that are out there as well in terms of how they interact with other people. So that comes with the fact that we're playing the games. There's a big responsibility on everybody involved in our, as I said, the bubble piece. So we'll just keep trucking on and doing what we've been doing really for the last number of months. So as I said, we're grateful that we can do that. Zebre, there's a challenge with all the teams. We're trying to second guess a lot of the selections. And based off what the international teams are going to be, so there's always a little bit of luck in terms of what teams you play during this window. Some teams are very, very heavily affected, other teams not so much in our league. Zebre had a good chunk of players that are in their national camps, so pretty similar to ourselves in many ways. So they've a mix of some experienced players, experienced players that we know well, obviously with Mick Carney and Ian Nagle in particular. So two great characters that we were fortunate to have here in our environment, and they're great contributors when they're here as well. So it's always challenging for us when we play against teams that have ex-Leinster players, because they're able to pick up on certain triggers, and they know some of our individuals, and I'm sure they're able to pass on some of that information as well to their new teammates. But then they've a lot of some unknown quantities as well in their team, in terms of some players we don't know that much about because they haven't featured a huge amount. So, but that'll be the same for Zebre trying to prepare for us as well. So it's an exciting period, I think, with the internationals going on. Gives us a great opportunity to see some younger players coming through, whether that's development players or academy players. And as I said, we've a good sort of mix of some more experienced guys, and we try to get that balance right between the starting team and the bench as well. So we'll see how it goes. We're very excited as a coaching group to see how our guys go. We trained last week, and it's trying to use that window to get ready for the block of games. We've 6 games in a row now with this group of players. There might be a little bit of movement back and forth to national camp, but generally this is the group that we have. We picked up a couple of niggles over the last couple of weeks, so we've still a few guys unavailable that maybe might filter back over the next few weeks. But having said that, there's a couple of guys come back that haven't had a huge amount of involvement so far this year. Obviously Dan Leavy being the most obvious one, Dan Sheehan coming into the front row as well. So it's what we've worked on is trying to build a cohesion and the combinations all across the team. So we'll see how we go. We're excited. It's been a short week this week, but we had a couple of days last week where at least we were able to use that time to prepare as well. So at this point, we're just looking forward to getting out and playing and getting a bit of a gauge as to where we're at as a group, and get a bit of recovery and move on to the next challenge. And that'll be the general theme over the next 6 weeks. Well, he's played 13 times for Munster, so that's the most relevant comparison for us. He's been involved in European Cup rugby as well, so he understands the setup in Ireland as well, understands the league. Obviously he'd signed to go to Jersey, but hasn't actually played for them yet. So because their league has been not cut short, hasn't actually started yet. So they're due, I believe, to start in January. So Jersey were very good to us in terms of his release. And it was a good opportunity for us to see a different player in the environment. He's applied himself well. He's had a decent block of training with us now over the last number of weeks. But probably 6-7 weeks he's been here now. So as I said, it was a short-term deal initially. So we'll see how he goes this weekend, and it's a great chance for us to see another player in the system. I think people need to be patient, for sure. Have realistic expectations. It's a long time. If you think back to whenever that is, it's March of what year? 2018, yeah.
19.
18, is it? 19, yeah. Sorry, 19, yeah.
Sorry. 19 months.
Yeah, 19 months, yeah. We have to be realistic, exactly, yeah. He's shown well in training because, he's still a quality player, has big presence, understands the game well, is a big personality. So all those parts are naturally there in his game. So he still needs to find his way and get into a bit of a rhythm, into a flow of playing a game. And one of the challenges for a lot of players at the moment is trying to do that, but then without the crowd noise and all the normal bits of atmosphere. So the game is very different. So the last game he played was a packed house of 2,000 people in the Aviva Stadium against Ulster in a quarter-final of Europe, and whereas he's coming back to an empty RDS with no crowd noise. So it's more, in many ways, it feels more like a training environment. So we'll see how he goes. We just want to make sure that it's been safe to return all along. Like as to be expected, there's probably the odd setback along the way in terms of his return. So, but he's back now. He's hopefully gets to the pitch, but just done a team run there, and he's come through that okay. So, hopefully he'll feature at some stage, and we'll wait and see.